My MIL tried to take over our lives, and now she's threatening to sue me for emotional damages. Hey Reddit, I never thought I'd be one of those people sharing a MIL story, but here I am. I, 32F, have been married to my husband, David, 34M, for 4 years. We've been together for almost a decade, and I thought I knew what I was getting into with his family. Turns out I had no idea how bad things could get. David's mom, Linda, 61F, has always been a little intense. She's the kind of person who thrives on being in control, and she's never met a situation she didn't think she could improve with her own ideas. Before we got married, I saw some signs of this, her constant suggestions about where we should go on dates or how we should decorate our first apartment together. But David would always say, "That's just how she is. She means well," and I'd let it go. Looking back, that was probably my first mistake. Things got worse after we got married. Linda suddenly became way more involved in our lives. She wanted us to spend every Sunday with her, no exceptions. At first, it seemed sweet, like she just wanted to maintain family traditions, but then it got suffocating. She'd criticize how we spent our weekends if we dared to take a Sunday for ourselves, saying things like, "Family should come first." I don't know what's become of young people today, always needing me time. It felt like a guilt trip every time, but I didn't want to cause friction, so I went along with it. Then a year ago, David and I bought our first home. We were so excited. It was a small place in a nice neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. That's when Linda's behavior went from mildly annoying to outright intrusive. She would show up unannounced, sometimes with bags of groceries or little gifts for the house, things we didn't ask for and definitely didn't need. I tried to gently suggest that she call before coming over, but she'd laugh it off, saying, "Oh, I'm family. I don't need an invitation, right?" I thought David would back me up, but he was hesitant to set boundaries. He kept saying he didn't want to hurt her feelings. It started to drive me nuts, but I didn't want to push too hard and make it seem like I was creating drama. So I compromised. We'd invite her over for dinner once a week to keep the peace, and I hoped that would be enough. But Linda took it as a green light to insert herself into every aspect of our lives. She'd rearrange our furniture when she came over, saying things like, "You really need to maximize the flow of this space." She critiqued my cooking, offering suggestions to make meals more like David used to have when he was growing up. And then she started giving unsolicited advice about our finances, which made me furious. One day, she straight up said, "You two should really think about having me added to your bank accounts. It would make it so much easier if you ever need my help with anything." I almost choked on my coffee. David and I had a huge fight about it that night. I told him I felt like his mother was trying to control our lives and that it needed to stop. He agreed to talk to her, but he did it in the gentlest way possible, saying things like, "Mom, maybe give us a little space sometimes?" Of course, she acted hurt and started crying, claiming that she was just trying to be helpful. David ended up feeling guilty, and not much changed after that. But then came the real nightmare. When we announced that I was pregnant, Linda was over the moon, which I thought was sweet at first. I figured, okay, maybe this will be a chance for us to bond. No, she became even more overbearing, treating my pregnancy like it was her pregnancy. She started calling the baby her little angel and saying things like, "I can't wait to be in the delivery room to welcome my grandbaby." When I told her that I wanted it to be just David and me during the delivery, she was furious. She actually told me, "You're being selfish. I'm the grandmother. I have a right to be there." I tried to stand firm on that, but it didn't end there. She started bombarding us with advice, demanding to know every detail of my doctor's appointments, and even tried to dictate what I should eat, saying, "You wouldn't want to harm the baby with all those carbs, would you?" When I told her that my doctor said my diet was fine, she huffed and muttered, "Well, back in my day, we didn't need doctors to tell us how to raise children." When I hit the third trimester, things really came to a head. Linda started talking about moving in with us for a few months after the baby was born to help out. She didn't ask, mind you. She informed us that this was her plan. I told her that David and I wanted to figure things out on our own, and that we'd reach out if we needed help. She lost it. She accused me of trying to keep her away from her grandchild, and even called me manipulative for wanting to have some privacy as new parents. That was when I put my foot down. I told her flat out that she was not moving in with us, and that she needed to respect our space. Linda stormed out of our house that day, and I thought maybe maybe she'd finally back off. But oh no, she had something else in mind, something I never saw coming. A few days later, we received a letter from a lawyer. At first, I thought it was some kind of mistake, but then I read it. Linda was threatening to sue me for emotional damages, claiming that I had intentionally isolated her from her son and grandchild. She accused me of being mentally abusive and claimed that I was trying to ruin her relationship with her family. I showed the letter to David, fully expecting him to be just as shocked as I was. But instead, he was quiet. Too quiet. I pressed him on it, and that's when he dropped another bombshell. Apparently, Linda had been talking to him about this for weeks. She had convinced him that I was being unfair by not letting her move in and that if I kept hurting her feelings, she'd take legal action. David said he thought she was bluffing and didn't want to worry me, but I couldn't believe he'd kept something like this from me. I felt so betrayed. We fought about it, of course, and I told him that if he didn't start standing up to his mother, our marriage was in serious trouble. I couldn't believe that I had to explain to him that his mother threatening to sue his pregnant wife was completely out of line. David finally agreed to confront her, but I could see that he was struggling with it. Linda has always had this weird hold on him, like he's still the little boy seeking her approval, and I've realized that breaking that hold might be impossible. When David finally confronted Linda, it turned into an all-out war. She accused me of turning him against her, saying that I was poisoning his mind. She actually said, "You've known this woman for 10 years, but I raised you. Who do you owe your loyalty to?" I was in the other room, listening through the door, feeling my blood boil. But then David surprised me. He told her that if she went through with any legal threats, she'd be cutting herself out of our lives. He told her that he was tired of her manipulating him and that she needed to respect our boundaries. Linda stormed out, but she's still threatening legal action. She's claiming that she has evidence of my mistreatment, which I'm 99% sure she's making up. But the whole thing has left me exhausted, stressed, and honestly scared. The last thing I need while pregnant is to be dealing with this mess. David and I are going to see a lawyer of our own, just to be prepared in case she tries to escalate things further. I don't think she has a real case, but it's unsettling to know that she'd go this far just to get her way. David and I are also starting couples therapy because I need to know that he's fully on my side in this. He says he is, but after everything that's happened, it's hard for me to trust that he won't fold under pressure from her again. I'm scared that our marriage might not survive this, and I'm terrified of what it will mean for our child if Linda continues down this path. I never thought my life would turn into some kind of soap opera, but here we are. I just want peace, and I want to enjoy this time preparing for our baby. But instead, I'm dealing with a MIL who thinks she has a right to control every aspect of our lives, and who is willing to use lawyers to get her way. If you made it this far, thank you for reading. I honestly don't know what to do next, and I could really use some advice or perspective. Am I overreacting by feeling so betrayed by David? Should I be worried about Linda's legal threats? Or is she just bluffing? I'm trying to keep it together for the sake of my child, but I feel like I'm being torn apart by all of this. TLDR, my Mile has always been overbearing, but things got worse when I got pregnant. She demanded to move in with us, and when I said no, she threatened to sue me for emotional damages. My husband kept quiet about her threats for weeks, and now I don't know if I can trust him to stand up for our marriage. We're seeing a lawyer and starting therapy, but I'm terrified of what might happen next.